Have you ever looked at your pill organizer and thought, wait, do I still need all of these? Or maybe your pharmacist handed you a new prescription, and you wondered, is this safe for someone my age? If so, you're not alone. In fact, I've had those exact same questions myself. Today, we're talking about something that affects nearly every senior, but doesn't get nearly enough attention. Medications that can do more harm than good as we age. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about empowerment. Because here's the truth. As our bodies change, the way we process medications changes too. What worked for us at 50 might not be the best choice at 70, and sometimes, even doctors miss these details in a busy checkup. So let's dive into 6 common medications that seniors need to approach with caution. We'll cover what they're used for, why they can be risky, and, most importantly, what you can ask your doctor about instead. By the end of this series, you'll feel more confident having that conversation. Let's start with a medication you've probably reached for after gardening or a grandkid's birthday party. NSAIDs. You know them as ibuprofen, naproxen, or even prescription painkillers like Celebrex. They're great for easing aches and inflammation, right? Well, here's the catch. For seniors, long-term use can increase the risk of stomach bleeding, kidney damage, and even high blood pressure. My neighbor Margaret used to pop ibuprofen like candy for her arthritis, but after a scary trip to the ER with stomach pain, her doctor switched her to acetaminophen and added a topical cream for targeted relief. She says her knees still feel better, but without the side effects. The takeaway? Occasional use is okay, but if you're relying on NSAIDs daily, it's time to ask about alternatives. Next up, sleep aids and anti-anxiety medications, like Valium, Xanax, or Ambien. These are part of a class called benzodiazepines. Let's just call them benzos for short. They're often prescribed for insomnia or anxiety, but here's the problem. They can stay in your system longer as you age, leading to dizziness, confusion, and even falls. My cousin Frank was on Xanax for years after retirement, but when he started forgetting his grandkids' names, his doctor realized the medication was fogging his brain. They tapered him off slowly and introduced mindfulness exercises instead. Frank says it wasn't easy, but now he sleeps and remembers where he put his keys. The third medication on our list might surprise you. Over-the-counter allergy pills like Benadryl. These fall into a category called anticholinergics, which block a key chemical in your nervous system. While they're great for sneezing fits, they're notorious for causing dry mouth, constipation, and, worst of all, memory issues. In fact, studies link long-term use to a higher risk of dementia. Now, I'm not saying you should suffer through allergy season, but instead of reaching for Benadryl, ask your doctor about newer antihistamines like Claritin or Zyrtec. They're less likely to cross into the brain and cause fog. My friend Clara switched last spring, and she swears she's not only less itchy, but sharper during her weekly bridge games. Now, let's talk about a medication that might be lurking in your medicine cabinet. One you'd never guess could cause trouble. I'm talking about certain diabetes drugs, like glyburide or glympyride. These fall into a class called sulfonylureas, and they're often prescribed to lower blood sugar. But here's the catch. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to these medications, which can lead to dangerous drops in blood sugar, what doctors call hypoglycemia. Take my friend Helen. She's 78 and has managed her diabetes like a pro for years, but last summer, she started feeling dizzy and confused after her morning walk. Turns out her glyburide dose was too strong for her current lifestyle. Her doctor switched her to a safer medication called metformin and taught her to pair carbs with protein at meals. Now, she's back to tending her rose bushes without those scary dips in energy. The lesson, if easier, knowing he's not trading one problem for another. So, if you've been on a PPI for years, it might be time for a check-in. Sometimes, lifestyle changes can do the heavy lifting. Last on our list today is a group of medications that's often prescribed with good intentions, but carries serious risks. Antipsychotics, like risperidone or quetiapine. These are sometimes used to manage agitation or aggression in seniors with dementia. But here's the hard truth. They're linked to a higher risk of strokes, falls, and even premature death in older adults. Now, I know how heartbreaking it is to watch a loved one struggle with dementia. My Aunt Rose went through it, and her family begged doctors for something, anything to ease her distress. but after a fall landed her in the hospital. Her care team pivoted. They used music therapy, simplified her routines, and trained her caregivers to redirect her anxiety without medication. It wasn't a perfect fix, but it kept her safer. If someone you love is on these meds, ask, are there non-drug approaches we can try first? Look, I get it. Medications can feel like a safety net, but as we age, that net can sometimes get tangled. The goal isn't to ditch your prescriptions overnight. It's to start the conversation. Your doctor might say, this is still the best choice for you, and that's okay, but you deserve to know why. In the final part of our talk, we'll cover how to navigate these conversations with confidence, plus simple steps to review your medications safely. Until then, maybe take a peek at your pill bottles. Not with worry, but with curiosity. Knowledge is the first step to taking charge. Let's take a breath, shall we? Over the last 2 videos, we've talked about 6 medications that deserve a closer look as we age. But here's what I want you to remember. This isn't about tossing your pills in the trash or second-guessing your doctor. It's about becoming an active partner in your own care, because you are the expert on you. So how do you start? Let's keep it simple. First, grab a piece of paper and jot down every medication you're taking, prescriptions, over-the-counter pills, even vitamins. Then ask yourself, do I know why I'm taking each one? When was the last time my doctor reviewed this list? My buddy Sam did this last year. He found a sleeping pill he'd been prescribed decades ago and hadn't used in years. His pharmacist helped him safely ditch it, and Sam says he feels lighter, literally and figuratively. Next, schedule a medication review. Not a rushed chat during a checkup, but a dedicated appointment with your doctor or pharmacist. Say, can we go through my list and make sure everything's still right for me? Bring that paper you just wrote. It'll be your roadmap. And here's a tip. Focus on alternatives. For example, if you're on one of those risky NSAIDs we talked about, ask, is there a safer painkiller for me now? Or if you're using Benadryl nightly, maybe a nasal spray or air purifier could ease allergies without the brain fog. My Aunt Laura did this, and her pharmacist suggested a saline rinse for her sinuses. She calls it her nose ninja move. Now, let's talk about advocating for yourself. I know it can feel intimidating to question a doctor's advice, but think of it like this. You're the CEO of your health team. Your doctors are trusted advisors, but you make the final call. When my friend Evelyn learned her PPI might be weakening her bones, she asked her doctor, what's the plan to get me off this? Together they tapered her dose and added magnesium-rich foods to her diet. It took patience, but she's now medication-free and still enjoying her morning coffee, just with fewer croissants. The bottom line, aging isn't a flaw, it's a privilege. And with that privilege comes the wisdom to know when something needs tweaking. Maybe it's swapping a pill for a lifestyle change. Maybe it's sticking with a medication but monitoring it closely. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but there is power in asking the right questions. If this series resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever questioned a medication and found a better solution? Share it in the comments below. You might inspire someone else to speak up. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're all in this together, learning and growing as we go. Before I sign off, here's my challenge to you. Pick one step this week. Maybe it's writing down your meds, calling your pharmacist, or even just researching a safer allergy remedy. Small actions add up. Remember, your health isn't a puzzle to solve. It's a garden to tend. With a little care, curiosity, and courage, you can keep it thriving for years to come. Here's to your journey, and to making every chapter count.